Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Pranita Sharma and we are going to do the second part of 2019 ICSE question paper. In this part, we are going to solve the remaining questions of section A. So let's begin. It's 2019 and the question paper is of computer application. Section A, question number 3. And if you have not seen the first video, part 1 of 2019 question paper, question number 1 and 2, it is linked in the description below. So question number 3, the first question, write a Java expression for the following. So we have to write a Java expression for the given equation. Let's see the equation. Now this is the equation we have. It's guided by two side brackets. Means we need to find the absolute value. We have x square, means something of power, and here is a simple multiplication expression. So something with math. By this expression itself, by this equation itself, we can understand that we will be using math library and we will create the expression, Java expression. So what are the essential features? Before declaring you the answer, I'm going to explain you slightly that we will be using absolute. So math dot absolute ABS, and here math dot power, since it is a power, x to the power 2 plus with simple multiplication. So let's do it. So what will be my expression is math dot ABS. ABS stands for absolute value. Here we are taking the entire expression inside this ABS according to the equation we have, and math dot power, and we need the power for x to the power 2. So we need two arguments over here plus with the multiplication 2 into x into y, ending with a semicolon. So Java expressions or statements, they generally end with semicolon. So here also we'll be using a semicolon to end it. Let's proceed to the next question. The next question is write the return data type of the following functions. So we need to find the return data type. So the first one is starts with. So basically whenever we need to check certain things, whether it starts with a digit, an alphabet, or a special symbol, so we generally use this function. And what will be the data type, return data type? So if we are searching for certain answers in true or false, whether it's a digit, yes, true, or false, so we generally use a data type known as Boolean. So here also we are using the data type Boolean, starts with. And the next is random. Random is from math library once again, and math library, math functions, they generally return the value in decimals, and that is known as double data type. So we generally return the value in double, random, double. I hope this is clear. Let's proceed to the next question. If the value of basic, now basic is a variable here which has a value of 1500, what will be the value of tax? So tax is another variable after the following statement is executed. So after there is a statement given, what will be the value of tax if the basic is 1500? So let's see the statement. So tax equals to, this equals to is nothing but assignment operator. Now here we have basic. Now basic is 1500, which is obviously greater than 1200, and they have used conditional operator over here, which means if this expression from here to here, if this expression, after checking, if it is true, then the first value will be sent. If it is true, the first value will be sent. And if it is false, then the second value will be sent. So conditional operator generally works like if else. If this is true, then the first expression will go. else the second expression will be assigned. So here the basic is 1500. So you can say the answer will be 200 since it is true. So my answer is 200. Let's proceed to the next question. Question number D. Give the output of the following code and mention how many times the loop will execute. Okay, we have to find out the code. Sorry, we need to find out the output of the code and how many times we need to run with the loop. So let's do. We have a variable name as integer I, and for I is starting from 5. So let me divide this page into two halves, and I is starting from 5. And it will run till I is greater than or equal to 1 and I minus minus. So every step we are doing minus minus. Okay, now the first condition is if I mod by 2 is equal to 1. So if you don't know what is mod is an operator which will find the remainder. So I mod by 2 means if I'm dividing by 2, then what is the remainder? The remainder 5 divided by 2 is 1. So whenever this is happening, say the first case, the remainder is 1. It will continue. Means it will not proceed further but rather move back. Here the condition will move back to the for loop. It will not proceed further. Now let's see if it does not happen. So what is going to happen is it's going to print I. Okay, this is the code we have. So let's execute it. So when I equals to 1, we have the mod is 5. Sorry, when I equals to 5, the mod is 1. So it will continue. But the loop has run one time. Okay, so the loop has run one time, but it could not print, but rather it went and it continued. And I minus minus, now the value of I will become 4. So the next value of I is 4. Now I 4 mod by 2 is 0. 4 is completely divisible by 2. So here we cannot go for continue, we'll go and print. So after printing, what will be the result? So let me write it over here. So 4 is being printed. Okay, the loop has run for the second time. Okay, let's come, and after printing it will go back again to the for loop. Now I minus minus, so I has become 3 now. I has become 3. 3 mod by 2 is 1. So it will not print but it will continue again. So a loop has run for the third time. Now I is 2. I is equal to 2. Over here I 2 mod by 2 is equal to 0. So yes, it will go and print. So here a little bit of space because of the double quotation which is given over there. So 2. And this loop has run for the fourth time. I will again decrease, I minus minus, so I will become 1. The condition is still satisfying because here the condition says I should be greater than or equal to 1. So it is equal to 1, it will still enter the loop. So 1 mod by 2 is equal to 1. So that is not possible, it will be 1.5. So here it will not print further and the loop has executed 5 times. And now it will become I equals to 0. And when I equals to 0, then the condition is not satisfied and it will not enter the loop. So the output is 4, 2, and the number of times the loop has run is 5 times. So I hope this is clear. 4 and 2, and the loop will execute 5 times. Let's move on to the next question. State the difference between call by value and call by reference. So they have asked you for one difference. State a difference. But in this video, I'm going to give you a few more differences so that you will be flexible enough to answer the question. Before starting with the answer, I'll explain you slightly the basic idea regarding what is call by value and what is call by reference. And do not get worried, there will be a detailed video on this topic, you with the help of programs, and how to use call by value and call by reference and what are the implementations of it. So in details we are going to do in the theory part, but here a basic idea. Call by value, generally you see this. So supposing we have a variable. Variables are nothing but a named memory space. So you are giving a memory space that is determined by the data type. Say supposing integer, I have an integer a data type and the variable name is, say, supposing A. Now whenever we use call by value, say this has a value 20. Whenever we are using call by value, then what happens is this is the actual value of the variable A. Whenever we are calling by value, it actually creates a copy of this variable. So a copy of the very same variable is created A, and it is the value is also copied over here. A copy is created. And now what happens is, say if I am making any change in the program to this variable, say A, I am giving some expression and then changing the value. So A plus 5, say supposing A plus 5, then now the value will become 25. This will become 25. But there is no change in the actual value. The formal value or the formal parameter has been changed by the call by value, but the actual parameter is not changed. So here my data is intact. If by mistake anyone has made a change to the value of the variable, but my actual value is not changed, so my data is safe. Let's come to call by reference. Call by reference means calling using address. So if this is my named variable, A, this is also integer data type and it also has a value, say supposing 20. And if I'm using a call by reference, means it is not creating a new copy but rather sending me the address of it. So if it is sending me an address and in the program this very statement has run, then what happens is the value of this variable is changed. It becomes 25. Now any change in the program is going to lead to the change in the actual value of the variable. So that is the most important difference between call by value and call by reference. So let's go on into the points and discuss one by one. In call by value method, the method creates new set of variables. So it is going to create a new set of variables, that is formal parameters, to copy the value of actual parameters. So here a copy is created. And now you are working with the copy, not with the actual one. So that is the important point of call by value. Let's come to the second point. Any change made in the formal parameter is not reflected in the actual parameter. So if I'm working with this one, this change is not reflected in the actual parameter. So there is no change of data. And basically call by value is used for primitive data types like your integer, float, those which come under primitive data type. They are generally passed by call by value. Let's come to call by reference. Now call by reference, in call by reference, address, very important, reference itself means address. So the reference address of the actual parameter is passed on to the method, actual parameter, the address is passed on to the method. No new set of variables is created. So nothing new is created. Only the address is sent to the method. Any change made in the formal parameter is always reflected in the actual parameter. So whatever change you are making in the formal parameter or the address which is sent is actually on the actual parameter. So there is no new sets, no copy. Reference data types like your objects, arrays, classes, etc., they are passed by call by reference. So basically the reference data type, not the primitive data types, those are passed by call by reference. I hope this question is quite clear, and I've given you a few more points so that you will be flexible enough to answer. Okay, let's come to the next question. Give the output of the following. Okay, we have this mathematical expression and we need to find the output. So here we have math.square root, SQRT is a square root, and we have another expression math.max. Max will find the maximum. So which one is the maximum, 9 or 16? So obviously 16 is the maximum value. Yes. Now what will be the square root of 16? Square root of 16 is equal to 4. But we know math functions, they generally respond by sending decimal values, that is double data type, return the double data type. So it will not be 4, it will be rather 4.0. So the correct answer is 4.0. Write the output for the following. So we will find out the output. So string 1, S1 is phonics. So there is one string 1, S1, and that is string S2 is island. System.out.println string 1 substring of 0 means you are creating a substring. You are taking a string, a smaller string from the bigger string, substring, and starting from the point 0, and you will concatenate, that is the function concatenate with what? String 2 and substring starting from 2. Okay, so here whenever I say substring of 0 means starting from the right from the starting point of this. So phonics is completely going to be come over here with concatenation, means placing side by side, and substring of 2 means I and S will be removed and we'll have land. So phonics land will be my first println statement. Now let's see the other one. System.out.println S2 to uppercase means completely capital letter uppercase. So string 2 entirely will be converted into capital letters. So island. So let's see the output. Phonics land. I told you this one. Starting from 0. So right from the beginning, and substring 2 means removing only the first 1 and 2. Rest is included. Phonics land. And the second part is, this part is uppercase means capital letter. So I hope this is clear. Whenever if you need some time in between, you may pause the video and then decide the answer and check it out with the answer which I have provided. Let's move on to the next question. Evaluate the following expression if the value of x equals to 2, y is equal to 3 and z is equal to 1. So the values of this variables are given over here and we need to find out the value. Okay, so we need to find out the value of v. So v equals to x is 2, so we can write 2 directly, plus minus z. So minus is done first. This is a decrement operator, pre-decrement operator. So previously it will be decremented, then it will be used. So 2 plus 0 plus y plus means y will be first used and then a post increment will take place. So y value will become 4, but it will be used as 3, and plus y, it is 4. See over here, 2, the value of x is 2, the value of z is 0, decrementation taking place. The value of y is 3, since it will be used first and then only it will be incremented, and the value of y at the end will be 4, because after incrementation this is the first use. And now the total value will be 9. So I hope this is quite clear. It's very easy. Let's come to the next question, that is string. We have an array of strings. So there are many string values, but it is an array. So array is generally represented by square brackets with a particular variable name. So here my array name is x, and the data inside the array is, first one is artificial intelligence, second is IoT, and the third is machine learning, and the fourth is big data. So what is the question? Give the output of the following statement. Number 1, system.out.println is x of 3. So generally the array starts from 0. The numbering of an array always starts from 0. So which one is the number 3? So 0, 1, 2 and 3. So here we have the answer as big data. Okay, and the next one is system.out.println x.len. So how many data or how many strings are present in this array? So here we can see, we'll start with the normal numbering since we are counting the numbers of data. So here 1, 2, 3 and 4. So how many? 4. So the length is 4, but generally for accessing data we start the counting from 0. So you should not get confused with it. Let's come to the next question. What is meant by a package? Give an example. This is a very common question. I think so everyone knows about it. Still we are going to do. A package is an organized collection of classes. It's an organized collection. Mind it, very important term over here. Organized collection of what? Of classes. The class which we create in Java program. So everything, if you put together in an organized manner, those are called your package, which is included. So when we are using it, which is included in the program as per the requirement of the program. So whenever you need any class, you bring the package and then you use it. We have done this many a times. We have used scanner class from the package utility. So here I have taken one example, that is java.lang. It's a language package. This package contains useful classes. Now which are the useful classes? One such class being the math class. So you all are very familiar with math class, and today we have done many functions from the math class. So math class is generally included in the package called java.lang. The Java math class is a collection of many useful methods for performing common mathematical functions. Please keep in mind that package is something which are inbuilt, like your java.lang, one example I've given over here, utility package. There are many more, and you can create your own package too. So it's up to your choice what you want to do. So here we have completed, I think, all the questions. Thank you very much for listening to the video completely. I hope many of the questions were solved and few of your doubts were also clarified. For any further doubts or any clarification required, kindly comment. Please like, share and subscribe for more. Your likes and your subscribe are going to be a huge encouragement for me. And we'll meet in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.